All right, we are here with another trippy Trip C production. I am your boy, Tahuti Trismegistus, aka Chase. Come and fix this. So we're gonna call you away from your simulation of Mercury to plant a symmetry and learn our language so you can channel your infinite individuality into something that is more finite and thus able to be comprehended and understood by everyone who is resonating with the same limits that you are using to articulate your mind, aka this English language. How beautiful. You are tapping into the root of this symmetry. This is our podcast, Synchronicity, where we know that nothing is a coincidence, and thus everything is intentional. How do you feel about that? Let's talk about it. Today's episode. This is episode 12. Yes, it is. We're talking about self-love. For episode 12, this is the L episode. We're talking about love. We're talking about language, the law, the light. How do you love yourself? What is self-love? What is love in the first place? Because so many people have all their own definitions of love, right? And we can see that it's always rooted in desire. And it's funny because people have such a weird relationship with that word that they try to act like love is not desire. So we're going to get into how love and desire are the same thing. And what the nuanced difference would be between love and desire, and why people would try to feel like love is not desire. And then what does it really look like to love yourself or to desire yourself? And how are love and desire actually different? Is there a difference between desiring yourself and loving yourself? Let's find out. Let's talk about it. See you on the other side.
Been crying, I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My mind's been flying wild, my soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My soul's been crying wild, my mind's been flying so high. Through the astral plane, macabre brain, I built your game, we're not the same. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying to relay a word. Those who listen heard, we make our vibe from deep inside. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying back into my space, called away with haste, so I'll fall with grace to thrill my chase. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Water my earth, I know my worth. My soul gives birth to all my work. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying, so I can't connect with those you neglect. Time to correct how we reflect. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Who flood the sea with energy from my inner chi? I'm free to be me. I felt to inspire you to say how to fly higher too. Fly higher too. Fly higher too. Hang out with a band on your true spot. Don't be sad if you forgot that you've got a spirit squad and you're not truly the spot. Flip a script and break the facade. Take a trip and go abroad. When you're brave, they will apply. When you get in touch with your true God. I've been fighting. I've been vibing. When I'm dancing with demons, reversing curses, they scheming. They be fiending for reasons to change the sins like the seasons. So I've been falling, cause y'all been calling my mind out of my spirit. I feel it best when I'm near it, but y'all cry for help and I hear it. So Hermes flies out to stare it in a new healthy direction. We'll grow through natural connection. So I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C to level up like it's nothing, to turn into something, to bust into function, bumping and pumping with all the wisdom I'm gushing. And when I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C, I fell to inspire you. Simmer higher, I simmer in the skies, I triple in my chi, then I open up my eyes. Symmetry, I balance in my seasons, I mother the cohesion that keeps us intertwined. Symmetry, balance in my seasons, and I don't need a reason to fulfill my desires. Symmetries.
Okay, self-love. What is self-love? What does it mean to love yourself? Well, we can start with a physical representation of how most people love themselves. Really, okay, here's what I'll do. I'm about to get into the physical expressions of love. So we can start at this ground basis before we get to like the whole spiritual thing. Physically, how do we see love play out in nature, in our real life on a day-to-day basis, right? As a culture, even. So no matter, anyone's consciousness, whenever they talk about love, we can then like see everything that the word love is connected to. Now, once we see that everything that the word love is connected to in physical reality, we'll be able to mentally, to subconsciously see how spirits are using it to express how they feel about themselves. Because the idea of love, right? The feeling of love is supposedly the highest feeling. So this is where then we get love being a drug, because you get high on love, right? When you think you're in love with that's so rude of me as a Virgo. That's so funny. When you think you're in love with someone versus when you're actually in love with someone, it's hilarious. But for real though, when you think you're in love with someone, you're very well just getting high off of the lusty chemicals that come from rubbing your bodies together. And what's gonna happen is that you realize over time, as you get tired of rubbing your bodies together to produce those feelings, all that's left is the mind that you as spirits are using to communicate. And if your minds are not actually in resonance nearly as much as your body, then you're actually going to realize you don't love that person. So this is what we see in a lot of relationships. A lot of relationships where people will say that they love each other. And they'll be like, oh, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you too. But really, they just desire, they really want the feelings that they get when they rub their vibrations together. And this is where I, as Hermes, have to step in and ask the question, can you really love someone else if you don't love yourself? And this is like the root of most, so many relationship problems I've seen and dealt with in my life. And even like relationships where people are bringing me into their problems. And then they try to act like they weren't bringing me into their problems, because I naturally then talk about what they're projecting onto me. And now they're going to say I'm projecting. But if you're going to get so angry at me for just saying what I'm perceiving, then clearly I'm not projecting. I'm literally just repeating what you projected into me. You just don't like that I'm saying it now. Because now that I'm saying it, you have to recognize it as real and outside of yourself. And then you would have to make a change that you're not ready to make because you love comfortability. You love being comfortable in a relationship you hate more than being happy on your own. And then that's where I have to learn as Hermes, as a spirit that loves being alone, that you actually hate being alone. And you're using your relationship with other people to run away from yourself. And this is why, this is like hell. That's the epitome of hell. And this is how spirits create life. Straight up. Like on a subconscious level, it's because spirits don't want to be alone with themselves. So they use water, they use feelings, they use the universe to connect with other spirits. So this is why it's really important to watch out who you connect with and who you build any relationship with. Because if you're building a relationship with someone who doesn't actually love themselves, then you could very well waste 10 years of your life. You can give the best years of your life to someone who's just wasting it because they don't actually love themselves. So they actually can't love you. And then this is where like so many relationships, so many marriages just turn sour because the spirits were in a circumstance where they actually didn't love each other for who they are. They only loved each other for how they felt when they rubbed their bodies together. And then this is where spirits can stay together for however long because even though their minds are too different, their bodies are still compatible. And they feel like, since this is where if you believe that you are the body, then you'll very well just keep living inside of that and let those feelings of the body let you continue engaging in a relationship with a spirit who doesn't have a harmonious mind with yours. And since we know hermetically, somatically, that the mind creates the body, it's actually really then impossible that your body is going to be in resonance with the other spirits. So then that's where we get the difference of lust and love. So what is love versus lust? Right? Lust then seems to be wanting, whereas love is also wanting though. So lust seems to be then a carnal form, a more unsustainable form of love, where things that you lust are things that are generally outside of yourself as a spirit. And this is where we then get into the greed and overconsumption energy. And like whatever you're lusting, it's like that low vibrational, you're reacting to the environment and it makes you go outside of yourself, which is what physical reality is. Like the ego builds physical reality by reacting to its environment and leaving its space, right? We literally see that's all physical reality is, actually, to put it as simple as possible. So that's lust. And lust is only then ever going to be a representation, a more lower vibrational representation of what a spirit loves, right? So anything that you lust for is like something that you love getting out of control. Like you can love women, right? I love women. I love connecting with very awesome women. Does that mean that I'm constantly going outside of myself and like lusting for, oh, another woman, I need to meet another woman, blah, blah, blah. See, like there's a big difference. Like, and really, if I truly love myself, then actually it would be impossible for me to lust after women because I'm too busy literally loving myself. So this is where we see that lust is about physical reality and love is literally spiritual. So I have to know as a spirit that true self-love is marrying myself. And any woman outside of myself is not me. So really, like, why am I lusting after a spirit who's not me? Like, that's unsustainable. That's not hermetic. That's not healthy. That's not productive. There's no point in creating with a spirit outside of yourself when you're not creating what you want internally first. So that's where I would know that like anything that I want from a woman outside of myself would just be a physical representation of the feelings that I should be giving myself. That's deep right there. That's for all my men. And my women especially. I mean, but that is for all my men. As far as guys out here just wanting to have sex, and like they're just like super sex hungry, and they're like lusty for women. They're like, oh, let me go fuck this girl, and now they're spending their money and their time and energy hooking up with girls. Yet they're not creating anything on their own, and they're not really connecting then with their inner woman. Because if they were connecting with their inner woman, then they'd actually be way more productive, and they would be creating a garden, like we talk about in Dissect the Dialect, that has women coming to them. This is literally esoterically what I've just had to realize, why my spirit has made it so that I'm named Chase. Literally, as far as me being chased, and me as the God of wisdom. The more I chase wisdom, the more I chase myself, the more I create costumes naturally and then naturally express myself at costume conventions, the more that women who want to connect with whatever I've got going on will chase me and do what they can do to communicate with me in a way that allows them to connect with me and consume me. So then that's where I have to protect my energy even harder. And I had to learn that I can't control how spirits connect with me. All I can do is control how I connect with myself and be increasingly conscious of how spirits connect with me. And this is what life is. This is then the balance where you as a spirit are individual. You can't perceive anything outside of yourself unless you create the circumstance that allows you to make a body and do so. But then anything that you see inside of using that body is still only going to be a projection of what you are able to understand up to that point. This is why no matter how much love indigenous peoples, no matter how many of their creations, no matter how much help indigenous peoples gave Europeans, the Europeans could only perceive hatred inside of the indigenous peoples, because they're so full of hatred that they want to rape and consume Native Americans anyway. Whereas the Native Americans, because they're so naturally loving, and because they love themselves so much, all they're doing is projecting love onto these terrorists who are coming over to steal, enslave, and brutalize their families. So this is where we have to take this lesson of history into account, that the indigenous peoples are too loving, so they were not able to perceive the hatred inside of Europeans, and Europeans are too hateful. So no matter how loving the indigenous peoples were to them, they're always able to create the narrative that they're savages and they deserve to be raped in the name of Jesus Christ, because that's just their energy. So literally, like, this history in this country is so extreme for this reason. It's like truly, it's so remarkable, observing it from Mercury especially, just how projection is perception. Like literally, it's all about, that's what I had to communicate here as Chase, as an indigenous man. You literally have to communicate and interact with spirits outside of yourself to learn about the universe, because the universe is not you. You are not the center of the universe, but you are the center of your universe. And you have a special place in the universe based on how you consistently communicate your universe into the external universe. So we're all building the universe right now, and the universe is all of us coming together consistently. So if you don't love yourself, then you're not going to feel like you have a universe, or you're not going to feel like you have any creations worth expressing. And now you're actually not going to be the center of your universe. You are going to enter the universe, and a spirit who's a center of their universe in the universe is going to use light, is going to use logic, is going to use love, is going to use law, is going to use language to convince you to be a convict of their ideas. And they're going to make your universe believe that they are the center of the universe. And now you're going to come and colonize my land saying that I'm not God, because someone else told you that you were God because you're worshiping the sacrifice of a man who fasted instead of fasting yourself. And now I get to learn about myself as a spirit. Like, whoa, that's disgusting. That makes no sense. I am hurting my brain, losing all of my intelligence to understand how you could be so lost. But then that's where I have to just learn the importance of my job. Like, it's just so important that I continue to be me then, because that's just showing me how lost other spirits are in not feeling like connecting with themselves. And the only reason you would not feel like connecting with yourself is literally because you don't have self-love, right? So that's what today's episode is all about, making sure you actually love yourself so you're not a colonizer, consuming the lands and attention of others, and not actually bringing value to the universe, but instead just eating the universe. And now you are just worshiping, empowering other spirits instead of powering your own spirit and creating something that other people can worship. And of course, worship just means to believe in, and believe in just means to pay attention to, right? So literally anytime you pay money to go see a movie, that's you worshiping that movie. Not in the way of, oh, you live by it, but at the same time, depending on how much you like that movie, if we think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe or just movies in general, people subconsciously live by the principles that they absorb from watching these movies. And based on how many other people are connecting with the same movie, depending on how much you want to connect with other people, now we have comic conventions, right? This has been my whole life, living in this subconscious world and bringing attention to the subconscious and learning about it in this way. That's why I've had to learn then through making all these Spider-Man costumes that he's just Marvel's capitalization on Hermes, and making these Black Panther costumes, T'Challa is just Marvel's capitalization on T'Chaos. And the DC Flash is their capitalization on Hermes. So it's just, when spirits create life, then we, like me as a spirit, when I create the frequency, when I create Hermes, and then I go back to my space and I introduce that to the universe, I can go back to my space for eons. The moment I step out of my space, I have to naturally ride the frequency and vibration of what I've done before. Basically, you feel like, because that's literally what individuality is. So you have your own lane. As a spirit, you are the lane. This is what Hermeticism is all about. The path that you are walking is simultaneously being built by your desires to express yourself. And that's just a fact. Your desire, you are the desire. As in, your desire to express yourself is what is allowing you to be aware in the first place. So of course you are the spirit being aware of your desire, but the fact that you don't desire to be completely unaware shows that your first desire is awareness, which then naturally channels into you expressing your individuality. Fact is, you are so individual that you would not be able to share it with anyone else unless you felt like connecting to a structure outside of you, which is the universe. So because this universe is a structure outside of yourself, and it's a structure that we're all building from our desire to connect with spirits outside of ourselves, we then build bodies inside of this structure. So the universe is just one infinite geometric structure of light, a breathing, watery organism that is constantly being updated from us combining our feelings, our watery organisms, into it. And now we are just, boom, constantly expanding this vibrational structure. And inside of that structure is infinite bodies based on how we desire to stabilize our connections. So this is why your body is trillions of cells, because there's infinite ways that spirits stabilize their desire to connect with one another. The fact is, we are connecting with one another, and it takes structures to do so. Okay? So this is how we build bodies. This is why you have a body. It's that simple. And the fact that you have a body means that you love yourself to some degree. And your body, as I've said before, loves you. The cells in your body love you to the point where they are creating the structure to support your ability to express your spirit. So love is spiritual, lust is physical. I just want to make the point that both are desire. And that you as a spirit, you willing yourself into existence is an expression of your desire to be an individual. How you look as an individual can be very collective, because then that's the point of you relating your individuality to a collective. It's only ever going to be an expression of your desire to be an individual, though. It's just, of course, the subconscious details. How do we express our individuality? That's infinitely different. That spans in all these infinite ways that we are using these structures to even learn about, because we have to create the opportunity as a spirit. Because as a spirit, as space, we are not individual inside of our own space. We are everything. We're neither the collective or the individual. So it's only once we desire to connect with another spirit that we must realize that we're an individual. And so this is like the infinite awakening process throughout the whole universe. As far as making it as simple as possible, because life is so polarized. You as a spirit, your awakening, your leveling up is only ever going to be realizing that you are an individual and you are not the collective. It's just that you as a spirit, before you could become aware of your body, you had to take your individual and desire to be part of a collective, which means that you had to kill your own ego. So this is why in the alphabet, J is 10, J, you're in heaven alone, K is 11, K is you killing yourself with water, the universal water that puts out your ego. It puts out your individual fire so you can slither in like the serpent and communicate to all of us your garden and how you have sex. And then this is where ideally you use your serpent to have sex with yourself, and you create a self-sustaining simulation inside of the universe. So this is my world of Mercury, where again, if I died right now, if I removed myself from my body, I would literally just go back to my simulation, and I would be in a more powerful light body. This body is super dense, and thus I'm gonna say weak, and just weak in terms of there's way less freedom. So the desire to stabilize how my mind communicates results in me creating a body in this world, where now we have all these rules and laws and things move slower. And thus I say weaker because literally even it's very funny that we call a week, you know, and that there's 4 weeks in a month. Like, I need to sit with that more. Why is a week called a week? Because it very much does feel like the point is, in physical reality, we're weak. Spirituality, we're strong. And the whole point of spirits desiring to connect their individuality to other spirits is that we must all become weak. We must become vulnerable, which means that we must create circumstances where we are flesh. And we are then, you know, quote unquote scared of the same things, in terms of like, we have to be cautious of falling off a cliff. We have to be cautious of getting stabbed by a knife or shot by a gun. We have to be cautious of keeping our blood inside of our bodies, because we subconsciously know that our blood is the liquid that represents our soul, and our body is the solid that represents our consciousness, and our spirit is combining these so that we can create the circumstances where we are able to bring our awareness into exit stance, into existence, and connect with others, allowing us to build families together. Now I can merge my blood with yours. We can make a child, and we're literally building a family. This is infinite. This is in all realms and realities. Okay, like I've been in all of them, and I'm going to all of them because I love exploring. And they call me away from my space when they're like, "Yo, Hermes, we're ready for you. We're like, come here. Like, please teach here, teach here, teach here. Hey, teach here. Hermes, teach here." This is what I do. Okay, again, you can Google me. This is the point of me sitting on my simulation of Mercury, hanging out with all my death spirits, and we're just observing the universe, constantly writing, constantly making sarcastic jokes, hanging out, eating popcorn. You know, life is a movie. The universe is one movie. All right? It's hilarious. It's great. So we're on the moon watching the movie. Okay, that's why the moon is the podcast. I'm the god of the moon. Okay, it's all about reflecting upon the life that you are creating so that you can learn how to tell a better story, right? This is what we do all the time. Then on physical levels, right? YouTube is full of these. Okay, so spirits love this. Spirits love reflecting on the life, on the stories that they've made so that they can learn how to build better stories. Because what else is there to do? There's kind of nothing else to do. Literally as a spirit, there's no thing else to do. The moment you as a spirit express yourself, you have built the universe. And once you go back to your space, you can be in there for eons. The moment you enter the universe and express yourself again, you're just building your body inside the universe. So me as Hermes, it would be a waste of time for me to spend my life as Chase building up the bodies of white supremacy and doing what really dumb people who have stolen my caduceus and don't even know what it represents are trying to tell me to do. Right? Like that it would not only be a complete waste of time, it would be an infinite disservice to my spirit. It would be an infinite disservice to real God, to the real universe, to the real mission. Right? So that's where all I can do is be myself. Like all that's worth it for me to do is build upon what I've done before, aka capitalize on my own chi, build a structure out of my own currency versus just giving my currency to another structure. Right? So this is what we do, microcosm, macrocosm. I've already built this body. I've already made money off of my chi by making muscles that my mind can manipulate. It would be the hugest waste of time for me to then use my mind to manipulate my muscles in a way that actually does lift the blocks for Jews telling me that I built the pyramids through enslaving them. I want to throw up. How dare you? Right? So, no. This is what we do as spirits. It's only worth it that when you as a spirit step outside of your own space, you are literally bringing your feelings into the universe. So this is why you can never get out of your feelings. Like, the only reason I'm able to build a symmetry and do everything I'm doing as Trip C, as Chase Clarence Calloway, is because I feel like it. I'm powered by my feelings. And literally, even me, like the feeling of not wanting to do something and then saying, well, I'm going to do it anyway, is still a feeling. And it's cool. I was having a conversation with my friend Gavin about this actually just today. And we're interacting. We're going back and forth. He'll be on the podcast at some point. We're going back and forth about the difference between desire and will. And I'm the esoteric translator. So the whole point is that we're all using words to try and articulate our perspective and feelings. And it takes waiting. It takes like repetitions and like getting to like the roots of just communication, listening to people use words over and over so that I can see how they're correlating them. And it was really cool because he challenges me on saying that everything is desire. My point is that love is desire, because your desire to be aware is literally you as a spirit hating being nothing so much that you would rather be something, which is why you love being aware of whatever you're aware of. So awareness is your first desire, and awareness is the desire, the de-fire that is inspired by your spirit, and it's the light that de-evolves and allows your spirit to build spires that then inspire other spirits. So that's why I say everything is desire. And anything, just the fact that you as a spirit are aware is your ultimate desire. And anything that you are being aware of is thus an extension and connected to you subconsciously in that way. So that's where Gavin, he's saying his relationship with desire is very egoic and carnal, and he started introducing the word will, and to be willing to do something instead of desiring to do something. And that's where I like that a lot, because it helps me develop how will is the spirit creating desires. So when you think of will, right, when you like write a will, that's literally you figuring out where all your stuff is going to go after you die, literally, right? Like when you're writing a will as a human, you're like, okay, my estate is going to go to my son, and my business will go to my wife, and all this stuff is going to go to these people that I trust, my family. Okay, so I built something here in this reality. I'm now going to leave it here, and I'm trusting my family to it. So just right there, we can see the relationship between will and desire. And desire is physical. Desire is the ego. And the will is the spirit. And when you desire to, there is actually a strong difference. I haven't gone into this with him at all, because we've kind of just like been spitballing in voice notes. There is a strong difference between desire and will. Like you can desire to fast, but if you don't will yourself to fast, you won't. Right? You can desire. That's actually a perfect example. We're going to leave that here, because join the ultimate functional fast, because so many people out here are having all these health problems. They have all these internal complications just from the pure fact that they're not fasting. And they can want to fast. So many people want to fast, but they'll fail, and they will constantly fail because they don't will themselves to fast. And so then they'll just watch themselves, and they'll watch that desire of wanting to fast, but they're not willing that desire into existence, into exit stance. So this is where desire is fire, and will is your ability to turn that fire into something. And thus, will is representative of your spirit. So when you as a spirit write a will, that's literally you using your right brain, your ability to use your pen to write, to create from water into blood, to write from the right hemisphere into the left, so that now whatever you're writing will logically come true because you felt like it. This is why all stories are just a representation of a spirit's subconscious, and all the words in it are then the consciousness that allows us to connect with the subconscious, right? So this is why as spirits we are not connected. I'm infinitely separate from you. You will never be able to experience, know, or feel how I feel until I feel like using the same light that you're aware of to communicate it to you. And that's me willing my desire into existence. So willingness to will something is to make your desire real, right? So you can have a desire all day, every day, but until you write it down, until you write it into existence, writing exercises are a big part of the course. And just in general, when you're talking about programming and creating the life of your dreams, literally writing is essential, because that's literally it right there. When you as a spirit have a consciousness that is limited to certain words, your ability to use these lights, to use these words, to write your desires into existence is literally what is building your body and building your dream. That's why the Bible says the Word is God and the Word was with God, because it's just all about that spirit that is telling you it's God is writing its desire into existence through its will. So this is why when there's a will, there's a way. Literally, the will is the right. The writing is the way. When there's a will, there's a way. If you have the will to do it, then you will create the way to do it. Because that in and of itself is going to be the fueling desire. Your ability to create comes from desire. You have to want to write something into existence before you do that. So this is why it's so interchangeable. And this is like, I guess my point is symmetry, even like just showing like how fast these two things happen. But like we do need separation though. So thank you, Gavin, because I like that for sure. Desire, even though I'm saying like everything is egoic, when you are working to separate from the ego and be spiritual, quote unquote, and know that you are the spirit expressing yourself, but you are not your expression. Okay, so it's so important to know and to feel and to like always anchor like, okay, I'm expressing myself, but I'm not my expression. And thus other people are expressing themselves, but they are not their expression. That's what has allowed me to build empathy with all these people, all these racist white people who I love. I love racist white people because I know they don't really want to be racist, but they want to connect, right? Like, I mean, racist white people, I've been through so many experiences, so many at conventions where white people would interact with me normally and fun and happily, and we're just like getting along as a great time, but I'm in my Spider-Man costume, so I'm wearing a mask. Okay, so they're interacting with me like I'm Spider-Man. The moment I take my mask off, so many times, I actually lost count, truly. Groups of white people would be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I had no idea you were black, oh wow. Immediately vibrational change. It was remarkable. It's remarkable reflecting on it now. It's remarkable how like they were like, whoa, wait, I was talking to a black person this whole time? And of course it hurts, you know? But like what I had to know is Chase is that they are not the issue. Duh. The issue is the white supremacist government that has colonized their minds and made them ill with this disease of racism and dumbed them down to be so ignorant. So now spirits, they want to connect, but they can only connect in trying to make me feel bad. And it's just so ugly. Because of course, again, that's how the Americas were built, by Europeans coming over who hate themselves, so they can't possibly love indigenous peoples. Just like a white person, like if you're being racist to me and you're showing me that you think that because I'm a black person, I'm not as smart as you, even though I'm literally Hermes, then it doesn't matter what I'm communicating to you. You're perceiving me as a black person, so you're perceiving me as a monkey or a nigger or an animal or just some dog that isn't smart. So then it's weird because this is how Christians colonize my wisdom. This is how white people will love to say that you're a reflection of them, so now they're going to eat you. They're going to cannibalize your wisdom and convert it into their system. because then they'll listen to me speak. They'll take all of my wisdom, like, wow, that's really smart, you're really good. And I mean, you're black, so the fact that you're saying this and you're black must mean that I'm smarter because I'm white, and I'm going to eat what you're saying and turn it into something better. And then they create climate change with my hermetic principles. This is why I need to make more words that go beyond disgusting, even though that's the main frequency that I would like to express with these words. So let's start creating some more words. Let's figure that out, so that we can more aptly describe the feeling in Chase's soul when he's addressing colonialism in all the ways that white supremacists use logic to indulge in how they love. And the way that they love is only hating indigenous peoples while acting like it's God's plan. So, I'm just saying that to will yourself into existence is a desire, but the spirit is not the desire. So the spirit is willing the desire. So you as a spirit, you will desires. You write desires into existence. And just like you write your own desires, you will other people's desires for you. Now, of course, there's a balance to this, right? Me being born into this world, I know that as Chase, I have specifically gone through circumstances that I was forced to do things. I'm forced to do all these things that I don't want to do. But because I created the situation for me to do these things, it was intentional on my part. And then that's where I learn about myself, reflecting upon all these things that I was forced to do, but I let myself do them. And this is where life is spiritual. You have to know that you created your body, and you created your body inside of the environment that you're in to ride out a certain wave. Now, this is not excusing any trauma or any negative things that other spirits do to you, especially when you're a child. This is not at all excusing. This is why I'm so passionate about this, and this is the balance of communicating. This is not excusing you being a child, creating a body in a simulation where then you go through a horrible foster care system. Like, my first girlfriend in this lifetime was a girl who got raped by 12 different families and molested by so many partners. This was my first girlfriend in this world. Okay, so it's a lot of subconscious weight that I started dealing with coming right into the dating game. This was 8th grade, my first girlfriend, where she would threaten to cut herself in front of me. She would threaten to kill herself if I broke up with her. She would tell me all these stories about how she was raped by just the families, the fathers that she would be put into foster care with. This was really the start of my dating career. Holy shit. She's okay now, by the way. She's developed and she's okay. But wow. Yeah, so again, all intentional, so I can just it's not for me to go through. I deal with a lot of people who go through these things, and that's just my duty in life in general. So I mean, it's like my first girlfriend had to be a girl that I wanted to know. I literally learned about myself as a Taurus, and I was even to myself in 7th grade, communicating to myself about oh, okay, I'm a Taurus. Is this girls need stability? I'm just supposed to be the earth? And already thinking in that way, because of course she's so chaotic. She's making me feel like she needs me to live. Again, literally threatening to kill herself if we were breaking up. And just so much. Wow. So I'm saying that to say, like, I do not believe and I do not feel that she as a spirit created her circumstances. Here's the weird thing. I know as a spirit that she created her circumstances. And this is where I have to use these words to split up knowing, thinking, and feeling. Because I don't even think she created her circumstances. I don't feel like she did. But I do know she did. Or else she would not have gone through them. So this is where we get cynicism. Me not believing or feeling like she created her circumstances is me being symmetry about that, is me being somatic. I'm not here like, oh, well, you use hermetic principles to create that kind of life for yourself. No, somatically reflecting and hearing and connecting with all of that and everything that she shared with me through organic communication, no. And then to take it a step further, based on her awareness as a spirit at that time, she was clearly not purposefully using hermeticism and everything that I've developed in past lives to create that experience. No. The N-O, the knowing here, is knowing that as a spirit, she created the awareness that allowed her to experience and go through and be aware and make choices and co-create this life with all the spirits who are connecting with her in that way. To me, is symmetry. She is a victim of a very messed up world where other spirits who were in their hermetic principles, who were in their intentions of wanting to create life a certain way with this little girl, infringed upon her space and colonized her body, colonized her mind, and penetrated her soul in ways that have now created trauma inside of her and resulted in horrible memories that now I can communicate about based on how she shared that with me. This is how the universe expands. So just somatically, I know that she did not intentionally create that kind of life for herself. That life that she experienced was intentionally created for her by the foster care system and the entities running and fueling the foster care system. And it makes my blood boil. And it's just an extension of the indigenous genocide that makes America great in the first place. She's a white girl. So again, the point is, like, race is not real. So she as a spirit, when she created her ability to come into this lifetime, the fact is as well, just because I feel like this, I can never actually know. I can never actually know why she created the awareness that allowed her to go through those circumstances. Because she would have to connect with herself. She would have to become hermetic after reflecting on her life, fast, go through psychedelic experiences, and connect with her spirit to be able to process why she went through those experiences, and then come back into this body and communicate it to me again in this language so that I can communicate it to you. So this is the balance. This is how life is. Okay? And I'm just putting it in my language. So I'm always like, I work to bring my language into whatever language we're using to communicate, so I can make sure that I'm keeping my individuality and thus keeping my freedom of true Caducean Trip C communication. And now you're able to elevate to my level, because I'm not trying to stay on the level of whatever language we're using to communicate. Please. It's all a vibe. So all I can do as a spirit, and this is like the fact of spirituality, I as a spirit have never met that girl's spirit. I as a spirit have only interacted with her body and how her spirit's mind communicated through that body. So the fact is that spirits do create life. Okay? It's just the point of me expressing everything like this and creating symbolism is to drive in how important empathy is, and drive in how important connections are, and how I don't feel like that girl created intentionally. I do not feel like that girl intentionally created the circumstances where she allowed those people to connect with her. In fact, I believe that's impossible. At such a young age, like when you are a child, the point is you're supposed to be born into a simulation where you are protected by your village, not able to be harvested by the government and made money off of your trauma and abuse. It's so backwards here. And like, it's so wild how everyone supports it because they're lost in light and lies. And I guess just because like they don't care as well. Like people can't afford to care about spirits outside of themselves because they're not really connected with themselves. And here I am as Hermes. Symmetry the superhero. I built Mercury because I can afford to care about spirits outside of myself. I mean, I have more than enough time, more than enough energy, more than enough currency to care about spirits outside of myself. That's why Anubis loves me so much. And that's why I love him too. It's just a matter of we have learned, Anubis and I have learned, it's not worth it to care about and love spirits who don't care about and love themselves. And the universe is constantly getting expanded by spirits who don't care about or love themselves. So the most sustainable way that you could possibly love someone else is to love yourself and build your own simulations, like I'm doing right now by creating this symmetry so we can all connect. If I didn't fully love my ideas and how I felt about my ideas, I wouldn't be able to express them in this way, and thus I wouldn't be able to build a structure to support all of our ascension, just like the pyramids, just like all the, I mean, anything, so many things. I'm not even getting into that. Just any structure for ascension, like right now. Right? So it's all about, this is what love is. True self-love is the caduceus, is ST ability. It is taking your serpents, not outside of you, but inside of you, so you can build a structure that gives the most value to the universe. And from there, you're able to connect with people who also love themselves. And now, the amount of love that you have for yourself is worth it when you connect with this other person. Because now, you're connecting with someone who loves themselves as much as you do. Because they've shown to the universe, they built their own simulation, their own structure. They love themselves enough to have done that, so now you two can come together in an even more productive way and create even greater from there. Like me and Anubis. Right? So this is like how you would find a perfect partner. Just in terms of, we're in an age now where it's truly about building your own business. Like this is like the wave. Like even if I wasn't going to be myself as Hermes and build my own business, the fact that I graduated right before the pandemic took out all these jobs and like my degree's worth nothing. It's like it's already just a wave that was set up. So it's only ever worth it to build on yourself. This is what I'm talking about with just when you know that you are a spirit and that you're living multiple lifetimes, You capitalize on your own chi. Mercury is my business. Mercury is my simulation that I use and consistently build. I have lots of spirits helping me build it at this point. It's a very awesome functioning operation. It's clearly integral in astrology. It's integral in astrology throughout the universe. Because astrology is infinite throughout simulations. We're just talking about the system that spirits use to set out how a structure is going to transform over time. And that's all astrology is. And then we have all these ways to categorize and like make that happen. So my role as Mercury in any astrological system, when I get called away into that simulation, is to play the role of communication. I am your mind. I am your intellect. I am your ability to think. I am your ability to process reality, analyze, and be very Virgo Gemini mode, because that's the main energy that I implement when I am expressing myself and creating the simulation of Mercury, of symmetry, the mind of Tahuti Hermes Trismegistus, so that I can reflect upon the universe and communicate about how life is communication. Because it's just always, it's infinitely meta in there. Like, just all, like, okay, I'm here, I'm communicating about how life is created through communication. Here we are. Like, it's that role, to put it as simple as possible. So that's what the mind is, your chi, your ability to communicate. So that's why then I'm here with Dissect the Dialect, just organically. Like, it's been so amazing to organically wipe out my memory. I'm reflecting, this life has been long, 24 years, like, to be real, to be very real. This life has been like reflecting on my whole life and building from the bottom up, from nothing all the way up to connecting with my spirit and coming back down and like just having this awareness again and knowing that I still have so far to go is remarkable. This is just what I have to do to be relatable, though, or else I actually wouldn't be able to focus on reality, the realm that I'm in right now, because I'd be too focused on where I came from. So this is why, as spirits, we erase our memories when we're coming into new realms and realities. And we kind of have to, because it's a new water cycle. So water is our memory. So your soul, your individual soul, is accumulating your memories through all these different simulations that you are connecting to. But the only way that you can fully connect to that simulation is to not consciously operate from that memory. So that's the point of, we have this balance here where we can't remember everything that we've been through in past lives. That's so many infinite Virgo details, too demonic, too much detail there, not even practical. But that's what I'm all about, by the way. It's just, that's the stuff that makes life possible. I love details. That's why, I mean, you look at my Spider-Man costumes, that's kind of why these girls have, I'm sure, been so adamant about chasing me through conventions. They've never said it, but as a Virgo, I believe that what makes my costume so good and why people react to my art is because I obsess over little details. And I love, this is why I love simulations. I love how all these small, tiny little details, all these little patterns come together to make something bigger, better, and even more beautiful. And that, like, you could look at something like, whoa, that looks dope. And then like, yeah, but look closer. And then it just gets doper and doper and doper. Like a tree, bro. You know, that's what nature is. That's what this reality is. So, love that. All right, that's what Virgo is all about. It's just about then making sure that you don't get too hung up on the details, because they don't really matter in the grand scheme of building a memory of the experience. Of course, though, people do like photos that are higher resolution. So people like details, all right? So this is why I'm eternally Chase Parents Calloway. I'm eternally the Symmetry. Simulations must call me away to play out the communicator role and share Hermeticism and share cynicism, because we're creating something new here. This is all new. This is all new. So I'm playing out self-love right now. Like, self-love is truly connecting with yourself. And this is why L-O-V-E is love, whereas L-I-V-E, to live, is the ego. So living is egoic, loving is spiritual. When you love yourself, you're in your own O. You're in your own space. When you're living, when you're alive, you're outside of your space. That's the I, right? So now your I is allowing you to look outside of yourself. The only reason that you have your own I to look outside of yourself is because you are in your own O. It's just about if you're focusing on your own O, and if you are creating inside of your own O, or if you are actually exiting your O. And that's you using your I to then be like, let me leave my home and go outside of my O and go outside of myself. And now you're living. So the only reason you're able to live is because you love yourself to some degree. That's why your heart is beating. It doesn't matter how much you don't really love yourself. The fact is you do, or else your heart would not be beating. So your heart beating is that expression of your oh, I am alive. Whoa, how do I feel about that? What do I do? So the whole point is, you as a spirit, you love yourself already. And you love yourself to the point where you've created the opportunity to be aware in a body that is created by all these spirits who love you enough to connect together. So this is where then, like, what is love? Like, let's look at love a little more. Love is what you want in your own space. Right? So we can think of love as heaven. Like, everyone loves, there we go. Everyone would love to be in heaven. So when I think about heaven, when I think about love, to love being in heaven is literally to love being with yourself. You want to be alone. And in general, your idea of heaven is your expression of love. So this is why we are all separated by how we love. Like, my idea of heaven is being connected with Anubis forever, if I'm going to be real. After this lifetime and everything I went through having him as a dog and then him leaving, no way. So that's the point of then me being so happy to do what I'm doing now, which is literally just living out, being the symmetry, living out, being Hermes, creating Mercury, and being connected with Atlantis, and combining Anubis's 2 with my 4 so we can have 6 and create life for all of these spirits, for all of our family, for all of our 5. And then making that practical. So honestly, I'm in heaven right now. Honestly, I am in heaven when I'm with you. And that's the point of Hermes. Here I am. I'm bringing heaven to earth, literally. Like, I'm in heaven when I'm with you because I am Hermanubis. I'm connected with my best friend throughout time and space. And I'm able to share with you how you're in heaven. And I want you to be in heaven because then when I get to go to Mercury and reflect on life, it's a way better movie. It's a way better universe. Because now everyone is happy and harmonious inside of their own space first before they express themselves. So this is where, again, heaven is 1-0. Hell is 1. I come down into here as a spirit and I relay to you, hey, just know that you are a spirit creating yourself. So now, even though it appears like we're in hell, it appears like we're all one individual, right? Because we're all one. We're all in one fire, one imagination. In reality, this is heaven because we're all zeros combining our ones together. And the more we realize that we're already in heaven, we can actually turn hell into heaven by bringing our spiritual awareness, our spiritual circumstances into the visions that we are seeing and creating together right now. That's pretty deep. But it's all in the numbers. That's why I'm the god of the numbers. Because it just makes sense. Like all the numbers, My awakening this lifetime has just been truly like so organic and wild. Shout out DMT. Straight up. Shout out fasting and shout out DMT. Shout out being able to leave my body and observe the infinite ways that spirits use light and vibrations to communicate. So then I can translate that into English. And like being able to go on the internet and learn like, yeah, I'm Hermes. I'm the interpretive communicator. Dang. Like I've always been doing this. That's pretty cool. I mean, I can't help but be myself. And it's because I love myself throughout time that I'm consistently building structures that are recognizable, which is the point of Mercury. That's my niche right there. This is who I am. Literally. Like, I am Mercury because Mercury is the expression of my spirit stabilizing its space in a way that serves the universe. So, of course, I'm not actually Mercury, but my business is my life. You know, I've combined my pleasure and my business. This is symmetry as a superhero, knowing that I can't save you, but I can teach you how to save yourself. And saving yourself is just realizing that you are a spirit expressing your imagination with other spirits inside the universe. So now you don't have to feel like you're in hell. You don't have to feel like you are the body and you are restricted to the body you're in. You can know that you are actually circumstances outside of that body, and you are bringing your circumstances into that body. So now heaven is, you just know it's all in your mind. And now you're just bringing heaven into here. And we can more consciously communicate how we all want our heavens to interact. Because otherwise you would just be alone. The fact is, you're already alone in your imagination, but you want to bring it to all of us. So, self-love is connecting with yourself. It's wanting to be with yourself. It is desiring to be with yourself. And it is doing that in a natural way that result. And when I say nature, notice how nature grows. So nature shows. Right? So you can literally look over and see, okay, there's a barren wasteland. Like, there's nothing next to my home. I'm cool. But then over 3 months, it can rain to where now you have plants overgrowing your home. And you're like, whoa, how'd this happen? It was so barren. Well, nature grows. Nature shows. Spirits were so abundant in their desire to connect with each other that they created structures to support that, and they made something from nothing. And it did start with rain, of course. It started with that feeling. So the feeling of wanting to connect with other spirits is the water that kills all of our heavens. It kills all of our egos. So we're all in heaven in our imagination because we all have an individual way that we would like to connect with our spirit. It's just that because we don't want to be alone in that, we literally create the universe. And that's literally all the universe is. Us as spirits bringing our heaven into the body of water that kills our ego. So now we can use light, JKL, to make our mind matter, M, which allows us to go in to an O, a space, a circumstance. So here we are. Now we're using our P, our pen, our idea of perfection to ask questions that send us on quests outside of our space, yet also into our space, into realms and realities, yet also into ourselves repeatedly, so that we can learn who we truly are. And learning who we truly are means having sex. And that sex, if you're doing it right, is you having sex with yourself to create your own tea, your own mind. Now you have your own sense of time, you have your own garden, you have your own tree, you have your own fruits that you can bring to others. And that is you truly loving yourself. Creating gifts to bring to others. I think that's a good place, yeah, to really drill that in real quick. Truly loving yourself is having value that you bring to the world. As simple as that. As far as I'm just thinking practically, and like being especially like a Taurus in that way. True love is being able to create something that other spirits can benefit and learn from, because that shows that you loved yourself enough to grow. Like you naturally built structures that grew and shows the universe who you are internally. So now who you are internally, the way that you build realms and realities internally, shows who you are externally. So self-love at that root then is building structures that support you. It seems that a lot of people, a lot of spirits out here are very reactive, very focused on, and perhaps obsessed with building structures that don't support them. That's sort of an understatement, right? But just to keep it light, there we can observe them. There's so many out here. There are many spirits that build structures. They use their ability to communicate to build structures that don't support them. They don't serve them. And the reason that a spirit would build a structure that doesn't support them is because they don't fully love themselves. And to not fully love yourself would be not fully then connecting with yourself. Because now you're desiring to connect with something else that you're not even connected with yourself enough to see is not serving you. So when we're thinking about like relationships, this is why it's important to know what you want and to know what you want. So like have all your desires in check, and then have your desires and be able to feel good about them. That's a sense, like, because this is how we communicate. Like when you have your fire, your water needs to be a high vibrational feeling to match that fire, so that when you combine it, your air is actually able to communicate in a high frequency type way instead of a low frequency type way. When you can feel high vibrational about your desires, you don't feel like projecting your sins onto anyone else or like judging other people. You just feel like communicating your visions. That's naturally going to build a structure that shows you that you love yourself, for one. And then it shows the universe that you love yourself, because you have to first show you that you love yourself before you show the universe. And then once you show the universe that you love yourself by building the structure naturally from just loving yourself alone, this is how you make your body. I'm talking about how you build your body right now, your human body. Now you can create the opportunity to connect with other spirits who love themselves in the same way. So this is literally how we're all humans, right? This is how we're all able to communicate in this any kind of language and use the internet, use technology. We can drive cars, we can open doors, we can navigate the world, because we're all loving ourselves in similar ways that then allow us to love things outside of ourselves, which allow us to connect with other spirits that we want to love, because we're using all of this light, right? You are not the light that you are connected to, but you are using it to bring your gifts into the realm that you are connected to right now as a spirit. I'm like almost about to separate from my body speaking right now. This is very funny. Man, yeah. Like literally just closing my eyes, I'm seeing some other stuff. That's hilarious. Cause it's just sometimes when I bring a lot of awareness to this, I low-key slip away. And just become even more hyper aware, like snap, okay, yeah, like right, hold up, anchor it. Cause like I can very easily just get into like perhaps the nothing, or get into more of the spirit of then being correlated to the mind, as I am using my words to separate from this body that I'm currently communicating inside of. So the fact is, like literally like me separating from my body, it would just be seeing other lights. And it's all lights that spirits are using to communicate, and it's all structures. And thus, it's just about me consciously communicating. So, when you love yourself, you build a structure that shows that. Like me making all these costumes and going to conventions shows that I love myself to a certain degree. Everyone who is at a comic convention has to love themselves to feel like their creation is worth putting on, and their body is then worth expressing that. So this is like literally just the fact that you have to love yourself to some degree to be beating your heart right now, let alone put on clothes, get up in the morning and talk to people, let alone then have hobbies, let alone then strive for greater success and have dreams, and then want to manifest those dreams into your genes, into this reality. Of course, like this is all you loving yourself. All of life is you learning how to love yourself. And thus, all of life is you learning how to connect with yourself. It's just that because you don't want to connect with yourself alone, you are then connecting with other spirits. It's like weird because I'm watching my mind. Like I'm the mind, like, well, I'm the spirit, but it's like weird because I'm watching, like, as experiencing myself as the mind, me as the spirit, educating my body while I'm here. So that when I experience myself as the body, and I'm just like wondering as like why am I here and all that, and I get into that ego, this is literally it. Like my mind is channeling my spirit into my ego, and then more of my ego awareness can just observe based on how I'm connecting with myself. Because if I was not connecting with myself and instead I was communicating with someone else, I'd be too wrapped up in whatever they're at to get close to connecting with myself in this way and being able to communicate and then learn more from there and build upon this. So right now, like what you're literally seeing is how nature grows. Like this is how a plant grows. Like this is why you're tapping into the root of the symmetry. This is how all spirits are alchemists, creating something from nothing because they feel like connecting with spaces outside of themselves. And we use our minds, we use air, the right level, the right combination of logic and emotion, of thought and feeling, to combine our fire and water into chi air that allows us to sit inside of ourselves and experience how we're communicating. It's so trippy. Yeah, like everything around me is just like so hyper detailed and changing right now. It's comedy. Because it's like everything's a simulation, but again, it's not about getting lost in this technology. The technology is light. So spirits make light matter by waiting in their connections. The longer you wait in something, the more it matters. And the more it creates and builds a structure that supports your ability to do what you want to do, that supports your awareness in general. Because the fact is, you are the center of your universe. So you as a spirit are the one building the structures that support your awareness. And you're either building structures that are built by you and for you, or you're building structures that are for some other spirit and they're by someone else. So when you love yourself and you fully connect with yourself, you're able to change the way you communicate so that you support structures that support your dreams. So that you build structures that support your dreams instead of other spirits' dreams. It's just, it takes you having your own dreams knowing what you want, and again, feeling high vibrational about that. Feeling a high vibration, like, yes, like this is me, I feel good about that. And then being able to combine that in a way that communicates it consistently. And when you show yourself that kind of love, it naturally builds the nature, the trees, the structures that create life. And then spirits who love you come and build a structure with you and support you. And that's how your body is built. Your body's all these cells that are like, oh, I support this spirit. I support what they're doing here. So I want to make sure that their structure is successful. And I'm going to be in resonance and like boom, boom, boom. Now we're all building life. And this is how then we are in Earth right now, right? Like hopefully you as a human feel like you want to support nature. I would hope. And if you don't, well, you're tapping into the root of the symmetry. So now you do. Support nature. Because this is a structure. All of like all simulations, the original simulation that connects all spirits is nature. And we can just call that the universe, the cosmos, just straight up water. And then we can just call that feeling. And then from a quantum science perspective, we can just call that vibration. So all of us as space are nothing, but we're connected by the vibration, literally. So, and like, you see, like it doesn't matter which way you look at it. I just took this through all the C's of it, the correlations of like, okay, elementally, metaphysically, even just mentally, whatever. It's all this. You and I are connected because we feel like it. The organs in your body are functioning because they feel like it. We get up and beat our hearts every day because we feel like it. Everything is moving and vibrating because spirits feel like connecting with one another. It's just, that's it. There's nothing else. There's actually nothing else. So all of life is us making that work and creating more opportunities in which we can do so, which is then how we expand infinitely. And that's like all this technology. It is so funny that Facebook, after getting blasted with like all these whistleblowers just coming out and being exposed so heavily for being treacherous and awful, that they're literally such aliens. Mark is just such an alien. He's like, well, we're meta now, and we're gonna introduce the metaverse. And they're just laughing at humans. Like, these aliens are laughing at humans. Because these aliens know that the humans are like, oh, well, Facebook is meta now. All the allegations of them totally infringing upon our privacy and capitalizing on our chi and selling our private information and spying on us is out the window because they changed their name. Humans are so dumb. Like, it's funny hanging out with these aliens and just like seeing this perspective and being like, yeah, I mean, when you know that life is a game, life is one simulation, and you desire to colonize and control how other spirits connect, it's too easy to do that, you know? Just as an alien to be like, yeah, well, we change our name to Meta now. Plug yourself into our virtual reality matrix. And so many humans are just going to be like, oh, yeah, cool. Man. Because it's just kind of like spirits don't care. And aliens know that. AI knows that. The only thing that spirits care about is connecting. All these humans know that they're not their private information, bro. Like, what? They're not their social security card. They're not their address. They're not their phone number. They're not their any number or any letter. Literally, like, we're all spirits who are creating simulations. We're all creating these bodies so that we can support bigger bodies that support our ability to connect. As long as Facebook uses their technology to create climate change and destroy this natural, beautiful environment and alchemize it into whatever radioactive technology they're calling this virtual Oculus metasphere, to get spirits to connect, they're going to be supported. Because they are using nature for what nature is intended to. So even though their technology is whack, and they're using their technology to spy on you infinitely, and they're only completely showing that, and they're like, hey, you're stupid if you keep connecting with us, and guess what? Humans are stupid. Because guess what? The desire to connect makes you stupid. And this is where, this is actually a perfect little circle into love, because the desire to connect with other spirits makes you stupid. The desire to connect with yourself makes you hermetic. And the more you desire to connect with yourself, the more you can connect with spirits who are actually in harmony with yourself. So all the spirits who would rather connect with Facebook than themselves, they're really not going to care. Right? And then they're just going to go ahead, give up all their information, just be spied on, and like go through whatever whack stuff Facebook is going to do with them. Because they don't care. They're not connected with themselves in that way. So they're just focused on connecting with each other. And they're limited to reacting in the environment in a way that is like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just connect with the people I want to connect with in the way that the environment is allowing me, and I don't care about the repercussions. And it's because they're not connected with themselves. It's because they're not hermetic. It's because they just, and then at that spiritual essence, don't care. Because they're like, well, what else am I here for? How else am I going to connect with my family and other people? Especially when, again, this is what I'm saying. Life is vibrational. We do what we feel like. Life is powered by spirits feeling like connecting. So the fact is, if Billy Joe finds that his whole family gets onto the Facebook metaverse, it doesn't matter if he was opposed to it. Chances are his mom, his sister, his uncle, his grandpa, they're going to be able to use their vibration and their connection with him to convince him to be a convict of Facebook as well, and connect to the metaverse and connect to all that stuff, and then just get Black Mirror life. So this is what powers all life. Spirits desiring to connect, and it's all just a vibration. And this is why then, literally, to take it to the quantum physics level, no particle can touch, no atom can touch, everything's suspended in space and it's vibrating. So that's already the law of 3. right there. And that's how us as spirits, that's like then their visual representation of our chi. Us as space create something that allows us to vibrate with other somethings. And that is the representation. That is the earth that represents our inner chi, our inner three, our inner ego. And then we use these subatomic building blocks of life to create what we are experiencing as reality right now. And then it can go infinite ways. Again, separate your mind from your body, you can go to many realms, many realities, interact with many spirits, and do many things, and bring it all back here. It's very awesome. It's very cool. It's very hot. It's very lit. It's very fun. Very fun. Like infinitely fun. Way more fun than here, for sure. So the point of being alive in physical reality in terms of like being grounded in a body is that we are being adults. We're learning how to be adults because the mind is the chi, the mind is the air. So the astral realm is so childish in that everyone's playing. But we come to Earth to do work. We come to Earth to make how we play more practical and more stable. Right? So that's literally why we're here. We are making our clock matter, so to speak. That's why KL, K stands for kids. Kids are making the way that they cycle through their emotions. They're making their clocks matter with light. So now we're using light to materialize into muscles. My muscle is making my mind matter. And it's on expression of my spirit, using light to show how I cycle through emotions and how I connect kinesthetically with myself, how I K move. And that's all based in my own heaven. See, like I'm only operating from my heaven right now. Like my ego connecting with my spirit. It is then me bringing my heaven into the universe that allows me to use the words that Chase has learned up to this point to articulate sentences that allow me to communicate whatever I want to communicate, my intention. Because then I'm channeling my heaven. My heaven is Mercury. In this case, my heaven is helping you ascend. My heaven is relaying divine messages into this body, into a language that you can comprehend. Like this is like just what I do. So this is like all of us as spirits. So then it's important for me to relay to you from my own heaven that you yourself are operating from your own heaven. So now again, you can connect with yourself, get Caducean, get Hermetic, increase your ST ability, bring your serpents into your own soul so that you cultivate your own garden that allows you to actually create and express a more harmonious, happy heaven into the universe. And now we're all more happy because you're bringing gifts from your tree, from your fruit to us, from your garden, fruit from your garden, in a basket called you to us. And I know that you are not what you're bringing me. You are so much more powerful than anything that you can show me. And that's why I care about you so much. Because so many other people want to limit you. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it a lot. We are unlimited. We had to create limits so that we can communicate how unlimited we are. And now we can consciously break these limits together. Okay? That's what it's all about. We're consciously breaking limits together. But it takes us creating limits to do so. Or else there is nothing to stand on. You feel me? So even this language, that's why I made Dissect the Dialect. It can't hold us back. We're only infinite. Spirits can't create things that they don't fully resonate with. If you're like, this is like tying back to the whole victim thing and the idea of when a spirit creates a body and traps itself in a vibe and it goes through many situations that make it feel like a victim, that's all energy that it's using to learn about itself. And we're supposed to learn about ourselves from that energy too. This is what Simicism is about. When spirits go through traumatic situations, I don't feel like they created that for themselves, because I'm somatic. That somatic property, that watery property, is me connecting with the universe in the feeling that this spirit was at the whim of other connections. So even though they may have, you create your circumstances and you create yourself, you create your awareness, the fact is you are at the whim of how you're connecting with other spirits once you enter the universe. So Cynicism is all about operating the universe, whereas Hermeticism is us creating the universe that we are then operating inside of. So this is why Hermeticism is about heaven, Hermes, I'm in heaven alone, symmetry with you, the universe, you, all the spirits who are creating the universe, the cosmic you, the double you then, right? Because we're, boom, underwater, I'm in hell. And I'm bringing heaven to hell constantly, because it's always this elemental thing of nothing turns into fire, gets dense into feeling, and then becomes air, and then builds a structure. And now that transforms into physical reality and expresses us having sex. And then that's all consciousness, and that is us being able to not only express our subconscious, but build the structures that support our subconscious. And we, as 9-dimensional beings, are observing this all the time. So now we can get a better idea of our heaven and transform our circumstances into that from there. Yes. I'm just thinking like, so self-love is vibration in terms of vibing with yourself. But again, I'm saying it in a practical earth-like way, because your body is proof that you love yourself to a degree. So feeling good about your desires and communicating them in a way that builds a structure to support you is the ultimate form of self-love. That's true self-love. So when spirits are out here acting like they love themselves, but really they just want to keep getting into relationships, or they just want to connect, and they're just like focused on connecting with other spirits instead of building something that supports their ability to connect with themselves, I would say those spirits don't have self-love. Like, you could draw like a solid line in the sand right there. And I do get that if everyone was building a structure, if everyone in the universe was building a structure that was supporting themselves, then everyone would technically be alone. So there always has to be spirits that would rather build a structure. The way I'm wording that is interesting though, because let me hit this. Because it takes all the cells in your body not wanting to build their own body to build your body. But then it's just the way I'm wording that is kind of like tripping me up. Because I'm like, well, as a spirit, I support my cells though. And so like that's the resonance thing of you build your own structures, but the balance is you use the structure that you build to support the structure outside yourself, which is of course like the only reason I'm alive right now. Like, I'm called here into this simulation from my planet, from my simulation of Mercury. So now I can build a symmetry here. And really Mercury is a symmetry. It's just a different name for it. It's my world. my world that I've made and constantly make as a spirit to serve the universe and connect with spirits outside of myself in terms of then just being a teacher. So as this individual spirit, because it's literally just me as an individual spirit, by the way, as like, it's not like I'm not commanded by any spirit. I'm not commanded by anyone outside of myself. It's literally me as an individual through time and space doing this. Iricel, all right? Man, no one colonized me, all right? I'm clearing that right there. Okay, it's no one consciousness. It's literally teamwork makes the dream work. That's why I, as an infinite spirit who does this alone, can afford to tell you that you are as infinite as I am, literally. It's just a matter of how you communicate. All right, let's build. Let's do this. You feel me? God damn. So it takes me as a spirit caring enough to build this through eons to have other spirits helping me. And then this is like the balance of I as a spirit build structures that do support other spirits. So when a spirit is building my structure is only ever teaching them how to build their own structure. So it's a harmonious hermetic relationship. That's the point of harmonious and hermetic being so Hermes energy. So that's why, like, I guess, like, this lifetime, because we're, addressing white supremacy. That's the whole thing with colonialism and climate change. And crusaders consuming everything we can see. So Trip C has to get trippy with how he builds a symmetry, so we can connect at greater levels. It takes all of us as spirits building together to make anything possible. So, like, this is why air is everything. Like, I'm the god of air, just straight up. Like, it's everything. Like, it's literally about how we are all creating life through communicating. And it takes us making an atmosphere first. And this is just where, like, life is just so spiritual. It's about, like, you knowing, like, you are a spirit combining fire and water to create the airy atmosphere that even allows you to particleize a body that breathes in the first place. And now you can use your mind to animate that breathing body. And if your body stops breathing, your mind is going to go back to your world. So, truly loving yourself is wanting to build structures that support your dreams. And yeah, there's levels to that. Right? Because this is everything that I just talk about in, like, the Emerald Tablets and, like, Hermeticism. The whole point of this podcast is me putting it in English, in a language that we can understand. Because this is me learning alongside with you then as Chase, being truly Iricel and not having to be so focused on operating consciously, but being able to channel more of my subconscious in a way that I can then consciously understand based on the words and language that I've learned through this whole lifetime up to this point. Because wow, I've lived like a long time. Just like reflecting on this life and everything that I've done, and like going to school, grade school is a whole time. Oh my gosh. Every day speaking English. Just learning in grade school. Wow. Man. Life is one long trip outside of your space. Best believe. So, This is why life is perfect for me though, because I love taking trips outside of my space, and then in reality, when I take a psychedelic trip, it's in reverse, because you actually go back to your space. You get to go home. You get to connect more with yourself. You get to connect more with the astral realm, based on, and when I say astral realm, I mean you increase your vibration to get more correlated to your nothingness through air versus being more in the earth. So again, heaven is you alone in your imagination. You connecting with heaven is creating home, because then you connect your heaven to the universe. So this is why the universe is home. And we're constantly turning home into heaven. So hopefully you feel like you're in heaven. And of course, I mean, it's hard to feel like you're in heaven when you are a spirit in the body. That's the point of us actually being in hell. Because the moment we connect with spirits outside of ourselves, we're not in control of the circumstances. That's literally what the universe is, as far as K being 11, being the water that kills our J. It kills our ego. So now we're forced to use light to communicate our heaven. But we can't directly connect our heaven with other spirits. All you can do is create it together. So you're not in control of anyone except you. You're not in control of spirits outside of yourself. And then from there, spirits decide to try and control spirits outside themselves based on communication. Because then that's just like life. Because we are constantly reacting to each other. Right? Like that's how, again, everyone has to pay bills. You know, living by certain rules. That's all us then relating. We're all relating under a structure so that we can connect. So we're creating a situation where we are living by rules and regulations that allow us to learn more who we truly are. Again, all that R energy. Rules and regulations show us who we are. What rules and regulations are you willing to follow versus the ones that you're not? Like, that's what shows you who you are. Yeah, you rule. You rule so much. Definitely important to love yourself. Right? Because after now that I've just shared all this, when I say love yourself, I hope you know what I mean. I'll reiterate. I hope you connect with yourself and create natural life from the inside out in accordance with feeling good about bringing your heaven into the universe. Much love. Mwah, mwah. Peace.